How do you feel about Crocs?
Crocs are kind of disgusting to an
They're
extent.
really the worst.
They are like, I mean, if you wear Crocs, like I saw this girl in my math class the other day who was wearing these bright yellow Crocs. And those were one of the first times I actually didn't feel like upset about someone wearing Crocs. And so I think I've become more accepting as a person. I've started to accept people wearing Crocs.
In my quest to become a more accepting person, I've realized that I can't just judge people's character based on what they wear. And I typically don't, but when people wear Crocs, it infuriates me in a way that I can't begin to explain or understand.
I think I'm okay with people wearing Crocs now, except unless I'm like close to you. If I'm close to you, I mean, I'm not sure how I'd feel about you wearing Crocs. Have I told you the story about what I used to call my friend in middle school because he wore Crocs all the time to school?
What'd you call him?
So we every morning we'd walk to school, and he would wear these Crocs, and we called them his virgin protectors because it would protect his virginity.
Oh my God, that's terrible.
Because he was wearing these Crocs. I didn't come up with that, though. In my defense, it was the older kids that came up with that. No, I mean, he hated us for a while, and then he got shoes, and now I kind of feel bad because he still remembers it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, I think he's over us making fun of his Crocs, though.
I would hope so. Anyone that's mad about stuff that happened to them in middle school, no matter how old you are.
I hope he's over it because I talk to him a lot.
Even if you're a freshman, you should be over the stuff that happened to you in middle school.
Yeah, this was like 6th, 7th grade. This wasn't even 8th grade. By 8th grade, he had actual shoes.
Like, it's like the way that colleges look at it, I think, should be the way that people should really look at life. Is that if you're in high school, like we are, then everything that happened in middle school should be irrelevant. Colleges won't care what classes you took in middle school. They don't care what extracurriculars you did in middle school. You could have been the most extracurricularly gifted person in middle school, and colleges just won't give a fuck.
I'm really happy that I was really happy that they didn't look into middle school because my middle school was just me slacking off and not doing my work, which is the opposite of what I do now.
I totally had better grades in middle school.
I totally had way worse grades in middle school.
But I didn't take the SAT in middle school, so I'm probably fine.
I didn't take the SAT in middle school. I didn't take the SAT till when we had to take it for school.
How'd you do?
I did okay. I can never remember my score, though.
I think I did pretty good, too.
I got a 31 on my ACT.
I'm so proud of you.
I'm proud of me, too. I'm really proud of you, too, Michael.
This was a nice little moment.
No, I think this is a good seg. So now Rashad and I have both began our last semester of high school. For me personally, I'm just waiting for this to go by as fast as humanly possible, which a lot of my teachers have told me it's going to blow right by. But I just want to move on with my life.
I don't know, dude. I spent a lot of time really just not liking high school, and it wasn't until this year that I kind of just accepted that this was a part of my reality. And I'm really looking back like, damn, I'm about to be gone. I'm about to be out of there.
I mean,
I'm about to be finito.
I don't really like, I have no particular feelings. I didn't think high school was that special or that not, or like the worst thing that ever happened to me. Like some people, I just think I need to move on to a different plateau in my life, and I can become more of who I really am.
I think evolution is important for people.
Yeah. Well, it's adjustment, personal development.
I feel like I developed a whole lot as a person throughout high school. I feel like I spent a lot of time early in high school just being like, fuck everybody, fuck this. I'm going to just be weird and I'll be edgy and weird. And then more recently, probably like the second half, junior, senior year, I think I kind of just decided to accept that, I wanted to be a good person. I've recently been practicing good energy as a thing,
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's the same for me because I spent my first year, really, freshman year, kind of edgy, angry, and I didn't really accept the fact that I was different in some ways than everyone else. And then more so junior year and senior year when I've gotten into a more stable environment and more stable friends, I think I've allowed myself to kind of grow in that way, and I've gotten more toward where we're both at, kind of.
I think what's very necessary is people need to start practicing good energy as a part of their lives.
That's true.
People don't really like to practice that. People like to put a whole lot of negativity into the universe, a lot of just hatred into the universe, and it doesn't do anyone good.
What would you define as positive energy?
Well, my father always used to talk to me. Always continues to talk to me about unconditional positive regard. You know, recently I've been doing a lot of research. I've been reading this book called The Four Agreements, and one of the agreements that really sticks out to me is nothing anyone does is because of you. Everything that everyone does is a reflection of their own reality, their own dreams. And so when I talk about when I look at the way that people interact with me, I think about the fact that they're not doing anything to spite me. Even if they feel like they are, they're really not. Everything that anyone does is a reflection of their entire life up to that moment. And so it would not be fair to myself to allow myself to give people negativity because of everything that happened in their life up to that moment, because it's not my life. What helps me out and what helps me process life and process the world and the way that I think about things is I've started to really think about what kind of energy do I want to put out, and how do I want to treat people.
So you say you consider everyone's entire life events leading up to, you consider like their biological predispositions when you calculate, energy?
I feel like the way that the energy that I want to put out doesn't really have anything to do with that. Like the energy that I want to put out is good energy. I want good energy to be around me, and I want to have good, positive things in my life. And you can't do that if you're putting negativity into the universe at all. It's just not possible.
I agree. I mean, I can kind of feel the same way about energy, except I feel for a lot of people it won't be as easy to like clarify that duality in their mind, because a lot of people don't really think that much ahead. And so a lot of people just put out the energy that they've received, and they haven't done like the thinking about, the entire past experience thing. And most people don't control the energy that they surround themselves with. They just interpret it and react to it with either most of the time similar energy, to be honest with you.
But that's the thing is that once you realize that the way that people interact doesn't really have anything to do with you, then you stop being reactive and you start actually having control. If you're making your decisions based off the way that people treat you and based on the energy that people give you, then you're not in control of yourself. You're entirely reactive to the way that people are acting towards you. But once you decide that I'm going to give people good energy and give people positivity and look at people in a positive light, regardless of the energy that they give me or regardless of how they look at me, then you have all the control.
Be proactive, not reactive.
Exactly.
I like that. I think it's a good thing that even I need to practice. Everyone needs to practice more. It should be something conquered.
I'm not gonna act like it's perfect. I'm not gonna act like I don't get pissed sometimes, because I do.
Everyone gets pissed. I feel like that's one of the big things. Last year I was more in the state that you are now, and in this kind of realization. And I've gotten more upset just because I've gotten more frustrated with kind of like not moving on in my life and being stuck in this kind of high school trap. And now I just need to realize that it's not,
We should always perpetually be in this quest to move forward.
Yeah, I one of the things I was thinking about, a long time ago even was, perfection is impossible, but I think we should always be striving for perfection in a way. Yeah, we're striving for something impossible, but we're striving for the best version of it. So like when it comes to yourself, you should always striving to be the most perfect, best version of yourself. So you're always a growing person. You don't stagnate or you don't relapse. And it's the same thing with governments too. This thought kind of occurred to me when I was considering political ideologies and kind of how we, especially as American citizens, we interpret laws as like things that will be there forever and that can never be changed, especially when it comes like you'll hear people say, oh, the founding fathers said. But I think we should look at it more as to, one, adjust our policies to our times, and to not think of the law as like set in stone, literally like the Romans did, have it carved in stone. But we should see an ever evolving and ever changing system to better suit the times that we live in. And I think lawyers understand that, and I think people involved in law. But when I've talked to the average people like you and me who aren't involved in law, they seem to have this idea that law is set in stone, and that's a lot of time law is morality.
I feel like but what's really important is evolution across the board for all things and all aspects of life. You know, like if you look at the Constitution, that's something that people always like to talk about is the Constitution when they're making arguments about things. The Constitution can and has been changed. People talk about everything, every single aspect of life and every single way of thinking is only relevant in that moment. And in the next moment, everything is different in a certain way. And yeah, things stay the same throughout time and throughout history. But you know, everything needs to be appropriate for the time that it's in. Sometimes things need to change. Sometimes people need to change. Sometimes people need to evolve. And that's not saying people need to stop being themselves, but people need to be willing to say, I'm going to be better than I was.
So I'm going to have to look this up later to include it, but I remember seeing, I didn't actually read the whole article, but there was an article title that said that when people feel the most like themselves when they're happy and not when they're performing like what people would stereotype them as. So say, you know, I feel like we can both relate to this because you and I kind of have like, we know the people around us have a certain icon of ourselves that they see us as. And I realized the same thing because, you know, what people had as my icon in freshman year, they still refer to me as, but I don't act the same way I did my freshman year. And I'm still, even now, I'm way happier than I was then.
I feel like that's the thing. That's the reason that I'm really that's one of the things I'm really anxious about trying to get away from when I leave high school is that I have matured a lot. I've grown a lot. I asked a teacher recently to write me a letter of recommendation. He was a sophomore year teacher, and he said no. And I could have felt bad about that. But then I thought about it, and I was an asshole in that class. And I wouldn't have been an asshole in that class now, but I was an asshole when I was in that class because I was immature, and I've matured a lot since then.
Why did they give a reason to why they said no?
Because I was an asshole in that class and I was immature.
Well, what did they say?
They said that I was an asshole in that class and that I was immature.
They used the word asshole?
I feel like they might have said asshole in a nicer way, but I wouldn't put it past them to say asshole.
So this was in person?
This was yes. And they were telling me that, like, look, I see you now, and every time I interact with you now, you know, I can tell that you're not that same kid that you were, but when you were in my class, you were this and you were that. And I can't be upset about that because that's how things are. That's how I was. I can't ever deny who I was at any point in time. I know who I am right now. I know that I've evolved, and I know that in a lot of ways I'm similar to that annoying asshole sophomore year me. And I know that right now me, senior year me, who has accepted this idea of good energy into my life unconditionally, I know that I'm a lot better now. I know that if I were to take that class right now, I would have gotten the letter.
I've never heard of a teacher saying no to asking someone to write a college recommendation letter for them.
It definitely could happen.
I mean, I guarantee it's happened, but I just think most people, why did you ask this teacher even though you knew you had been an asshole in this class?
I don't know. I wasn't, I really needed a letter, and I was just asking everybody.
I mean, I guess when I was asking people, I asked one of my teachers who I had junior year, who was out on leave, so they couldn't really get it to me in the time frame I needed it for them to. And then I asked two of the teachers, one who I'd only had freshman year, and then I had again twice senior year, and another teacher I had junior year who I was pretty close with. And I think I chose those ones, and this is a good piece of advice. One, always ask them in person. Never ask a teacher to write you a rec letter over email, because that's just unprofessional. And two, ask a teacher that you have a good relationship with and you did well in their class. Because, like, I asked these teachers, and they are in fields that are similar to what I want to major in. Kind of. They're all social science teachers, and they knew a lot about me because I'd interacted with them. And I'm really happy that I took the two classes with the one teacher after I'd only taken one class with her freshman year, because that got the kind of rapport build up in the relationship that I needed. And that teacher had my college rec letter done in the day I asked for it, which is insane. So how are you taking the end of your high school career?
I don't know. Because last year and this year I've developed a lot of connections to the place where we are, and connections I didn't think I would develop. I spent my whole lot of the early time that I spent here in Illinois, being like, fuck this place, I want to go back, I want to leave, I'm trying to get out of here. And then eventually I kind of just decided that this is a part of my life. And once I kind of decided that, my mentality kind of changed. I started being more involved in the extracurricular activities that I didn't entirely make for myself. You know, I started doing theater. Really, really like that. I'm a theater kid, in case you didn't realize. So,
I too have gone through the kind of, you know, in freshman year, I wasn't in color guard. I did a couple things for service club. I couldn't even be in NHS yet. And I wasn't really super involved with academic team, but now I am all of those things. And I feel, you know, I'm really happy with a lot of things I've done in high school. And I'm really happy. I'm really, like, one of the biggest changes, and I always look back at this now, is when I joined color guard. It was kind of like the beginning of like who I am now, and it was like a life-defining moment. And, you know, it gave me that friend group I needed of people who I could be more myself around with and kind of like almost test out, you know, the parts of my personality I really hadn't figured out yet. And it was just like, it was kind of like that support group that was mostly there for you, that you kind of needed. And it also, you know, it's how I made a lot of my friends. It's how I got out into the world. Like, there's no greater adrenaline high than performing, or, you know, if you're in sports, performing in that regard.
I mean, well, you could do drugs.
Don't do drugs, kids.
Don't do drugs. And if you're going to do the drugs responsibly. I'm actually a very strong advocate for drug responsibly. I'm not really, I don't really do drugs like that. You know, I've done drugs before, but I don't do drugs. Hayden doesn't do drugs at all.
I'm a good kid.
But regardless of that, you know, my stance on drugs is, if you're going to do drugs, cuz, you know, people are young, people like to experiment, people like to do their things that they've done, drug responsibly. You know, if you're gonna smoke weed, make sure that you're around people who you care about. If you're gonna drink, you know, because high school students drink. That's just a thing that people do.
I don't drink.
I don't drink either, but, like, you know, people do. If you're gonna drink responsibly. You know, don't drive. Don't drive. Yeah, don't drink and drive. If you drink and drive, you're dumb as shit, and I don't like you.
I'll like you, but I'm gonna give you like a mom lecture afterward.
You're dumb as shit if you drink and drive. And don't take prescription pills. You're really whack if you're taking prescription pills. Like, you're really that desperate.
I know a kid who's like younger than us who went to like a Skittles party.
Well, wait, if you actually have been prescribed the prescription pills, then I rescind my statement. You, by all means, please take them responsibly.
Take them as the doctor recommends.
Don't take more than the doctor recommends. It's not good for you.
Yeah.
But if you're taking prescription pills, if you're just popping pills just because you think that that's cool, it's not cool. You're lame. You're not cool.
It's very, very dangerous. Don't take other people's prescription pills. For me, getting into college has kind of, at the beginning, it was a very frustrating process, because you have to go through all the different, you know, steps online, fill out the forms. First of all, they damn near rob you for, you know, just the fees to send it to them and all that stuff. And then there's the transcript fees. And then came in about November this year, well, before November, more October, I had to write essays, and I had to write essays for, you know, all the schools, most of the schools I wrote individually. So, you know, I had the Common App one that I sent to all of them. And then there were the ones that I write individually. And one of them I had to write like 4 separate essays for, one of them 2, another of them 2. And then you have certain essays for scholarships to get scholarships. I spent like a whole good week this past fall just writing essays for colleges, which was kind of intense and not something I enjoyed.
I love writing.
I mean, I love writing too, but I love writing what I want to write.
Yeah, but I feel like a big part of the college essay is to have your voice, to give it your spin. And I feel like that's what I appreciate about the college essays, is that nowhere else on the application does it really give me a place where I can really tell colleges who I am, and this is how I interact with the world.
Well, I mean, that's a better word. I think I was just negative because I had to do this work and I wasn't really.
Oh yeah, no, dude, same.
Yeah, it just the teenage part of like I want to express myself, but I have to put an effort to do that is very interesting.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird that we as humans do that.
It'd be nicer if we all just never procrastinated, wouldn't it be?
Yeah.
But I mean, and now I'm in the kind of period where I have to, test the water. So I've heard back from some colleges. I've gotten into most of them all except for one of them. And now I'm kind of like waiting to see what money I get. But I kind of have a general idea of where I want to go because of what that will do for my life.
I'm glad that you have that.
But I don't really have it. It still makes me very anxious.
It's an anxiety riddle thing. There's a lot of anxiety that goes into it. But you just gotta stay positive throughout things that make you anxious.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm negatively anxious. I just say I'm like, I'm ready. Like I feel ready to make this part of my life.
Absolutely.
I don't know. I mean, one of the things actually, do you want to hear something kind of stupid I've been thinking about in regards to college?
Dude, yes.
I am a generally clean person. I keep my room pretty clean. I try and keep my life pretty clean and organized. And I like when things don't smell. And one of the things I'm really worried about going into college and getting a dorm mate is a lot of guys aren't clean people. They are messy and they smell and don't bathe frequently. And that's kind of terrified me to an extent because I really don't want to live with someone who doesn't have a good standard of hygiene.
I feel like thinking about things like that jinxes it.
Well, most colleges now, from what I've seen and heard, have, you fill out a form with your preferences and stuff and what you do. If you stay up late, if you listen to music loudly, to kind of make sure things fit better so things aren't chaotic. And so I'm hoping with the school I end up choosing that I get a nice one of those forms and they follow it very precisely and I get someone who's more my speed when it comes to personal hygiene.
One can only hope.
One can only hope. It's terrifying.
Okay, so switching gears here.
In a parallel universe, maybe I would be the unhygienic one.
How do we feel about parallel universes? Do we think they exist?
Well, here's to show some of my uneducation and kind of education is that, there's a lot of stuff about parallel universes. If you've ever seen Stranger Things, a lot of people have seen that show.
Rick and Morty again. And I remember there was some talk recently. It was an article published or something. I was talking with my dad, and he said, there's this person who published this paper who said that, the multidimensional theories is just a bunch of bullshit that someone created up and doesn't actually make sense. So I don't really have a particular opinion. I don't think. I mean, the thing about the whole parallel universes thing is that it could be true, just like the simulation theory. It could be true. If parallel universes exist, then they're not this universe, and there's just a bunch of them. And there's a parallel universe for minor things being different. Anything that could be different, there's a parallel universe for it.
But here's the thing. I'm not really concerned with parallel universes because I think humanity will never get to the point where we'll be able to travel interdimensionally, if that exists. I think we're going to be long dead before we could ever possess that technology.
That's a terrifying thought, though, isn't it?
What really terrifies me is that at some point, basically no matter what the way the universe works, is that the last human will die and humans will cease to exist and nothing you ever cared about will matter.
No, we're not talking about that.
Kind of freak you out a little?
We're not talking about that.
Keeps me up at night.
It keeps me up at night too. So we're gonna just zoom right past that and talk about time travel.
Oh my! I see now. Time travel is I kind of see it as the same way because you can't.
Time travel. I feel very similarly about time travel as I do about parallel universes. Only I'm very worried about time travel because people aren't really trying to go to different parallel universes, but people are actively trying to figure out how to travel through time, which is fucking ridiculous to me. I think humans will go extinct before they ever master time travel. I know, but I think it's a ridiculous thing that we're even trying to do it.
I am against time travel.
I'm against time travel too.
There's only problems that can arise from that.
How can anyone think that that's a good idea? The farthest back I would go in time is a couple minutes.
But even then, I feel like time is something that humans do not understand enough for us to be able to manipulate it.
And fuck time travel movies too.
Except there are some good time travel movies.
Name one.
Doctor Strange.
No.
But it's a great movie.
Did he really go back in time though?
Yeah, because you know how he like kind of stopped time.
The whole Dormammu thing.
Yeah, in Hong Kong.
Yeah, no, I don't know. And that's not to say that time travel movies are bad. Like, you know, shout out Back to the Future. You know,
Terminator 2 Judgment Day is a good movie.
I haven't seen it. The point is I don't really have an issue with time travel movies for the movies. I have an issue with time travel movies because of the time travel. I think it's just a terrible thing. And people like to talk about, well, you know, we're going to do this time travel movie and then we're going to be able to, like, it doesn't do a good, and I've never seen a time travel movie that's done a good job kind of going into what the very real consequences of altering the timeline could be.
True. I'm like thinking of a movie that's kind of like that, but I can't immediately. But I think time travel also is used in movies as like a cheap trope to like fix all your problems.
Yeah, it's a weak way to tell stories.
And so one of the things I always think about, and this is kind of a more historical thing. So say you wanted to go back in like to classical Egypt and see, like, take pictures of all the scrolls in the Library of Alexandria before it was burned down. But you would die so quickly of diseases and you'd kill everyone around you with your diseases that you carry on you. Like, it would just be the biggest possible mess you could think of.
I would talk about going back in time to kill Hitler, but So we have a rule on here that we can't talk about Hitler.
Yeah, because people often, especially on the internet.
What's that rule called about the Hitler thing?
There's this rule created by this guy that neither Michael and I can remember now. I will link it in the show notes. That, you know, all arguments.
I'm looking it up.
All arguments will lead eventually to someone calling the other Hitler. And Michael and I are going to try very hard not to do that thing, even though I'm pretty sure we've both been guilty of it before in the past, jokingly mostly. But it's because Hitler has become like the icon for all evil. And one of the things
Godwin's law, or Godwin's rule of Hitler analogies, is an internet adage asserting that as an online discussion grows longer, the probability of a comparison involving Nazis or Hitler approaches 1. That is, if an online discussion, regardless of topic or scope, goes on long enough, sooner or later, someone will compare someone or something to Adolf Hitler or his deeds, the point at which effectively a discussion or thread often ends.
Yeah, I agree with that. It doesn't get you anywhere, so we're not going to talk about Adolf Hitler, except how we're not going to talk.
We're talking about why we're not talking about Hitler, because Hitler is a trump card. Hitler is a trump card, and it ends conversations. It's a terrible way to make an argument in a conversation. It's a terrible way to make arguments because it's just like, for example, the time travel thing. Would you go back in time and kill Hitler? You can't say no.
But you also can't say yes because you don't know what it's going to do.
My actual answer to that question is yes, I would not kill Hitler. But at the same time, that's a terrible thing to just say out loud. Like, it's just such a trump card because you can't really have a logical conversation about anything at that point. Once you start throwing Hitler out there, which is supposed to be like this big pillar of what's evil and what's not good.
Which is true. Hitler is a terrible person, and it does not help arguments when you bring him up unnecessarily.
It's like a terrible way to. It's just not fair. It's like it's not an okay way to end conversations. Like, well, shit, you got me there. You've backed me into the dead end of the road. Now any type of intelligent dialogue that we both can have has been killed and is dead.
Did you know? So one of the things I remember seeing on Reddit before is, you know, this person asked a question on r/askhistorians is, you know, we use Hitler as the kind of like epitome of evil now. So what did people in the times before Hitler to use as kind of like that term? And what they used was they would call people Pharaoh, as in regards to the Pharaoh and Egypt in the story of Exodus in the Bible, because that was kind of their like character. That was the epitome of all evil. And that, again, these would be Christian people, of course, but.
Look, any person that's supposed to be the epitome of all evil that we're gonna just compare people to, we're just gonna not.
I don't use epitomes of all evil.
If you do that, then I'm less likely to want to have conversations with you.
Could you consider like Tom Hanks like the epitome of all things good in the world?
I'm sure I can think of someone better than Tom Hanks, but
Corgis are pretty nice.
We love corgis.
Michael and I are both people who you would not expect to like really like corgis, but as of the current moment, I have a calendar in my room set up.
We really, really like corgis. Neither of us have a corgi.
Yeah, no, I'm not even sure I can get a corgi because I might have a short hair dog allergy, but I really love corgis.
Yeah, we just really like them a whole lot. If you want to send us corgis, please don't.
Don't send us corgis. No, I mean, corgis, I mean, they're cute dogs. They're really cute puppies, but they also like retain the cuteness throughout their lives.
They're just the best. Every time I see them, it makes me feel good. I don't even really like I'm like, don't get me wrong, I don't dislike dogs because I know someone's gonna be really pissy if I say that.
No, I think you can dislike dogs.
But I don't dislike dogs. I like dogs. I like dogs a lot, but I'm not really
Georgia.
I love Georgia.
Georgia is my dog, and Michael loves Georgia.
I love Georgia so much
because Georgia, if you are sitting down or if you're laying down anywhere, she makes you her furniture and will lay on you and snuggle with you. And
I love Georgia so much.
She really shows. Georgia is like the epitome of all things good in the world.
Yeah, I can concur.
Georgia is the opposite of Hitler. End of story.
Yep. But corgis though, I'm not really a big dog person. I'm not really a big small dog person. The only small dogs I like are Georgia and corgis.
I concur. I'm more of a big dog person. I'll even admit
I feel
that.
like small dogs are useless. Someone's going to get really mad that I said that, but that's okay. I'm going to go all the way in on this. I think small dogs are useless. When I see people walking with them in the airport, I feel like they're useless. Unless they're a service dog, in which case, don't get nitty gritty. But people who have small dogs and they're like, oh my gosh, it's so cute. And I just hold it and I just carry it in my purse and it's cute. I think that those people don't realize that they've made a useless investment and it's a terrible waste of their time and talent. A small dog's never going to protect you. Even the aggressive ones like Chihuahuas are just weak.
Do you want to hear a joke about a Chihuahua?
Totally.
So there's two guys walking down the street, and one guy's walking. Well, they're walking together, and one guy's walking his German Shepherd, and one guy's walking his Chihuahua. And they're like, the guy with the German Shepherd's like, hey, there's this bar nearby that I really like. We should go get lunch there. And the guy's like, sure, but what are we gonna do with our dogs? And the guy with the German Shepherd's like, well, we can just say they're our service dogs. So they walk into the bar. And the lady at the desk says, hi, welcome to blah, 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 whatever the bar's name is. And lets the guy with the German Shepherd in because he says that it's his service dog. But when the guy with the Chihuahua walks in, she questions it because she's never seen Chihuahua as a service dog here. And the guy with the Chihuahua is pretending to be blind. And he goes, wait, they gave me a Chihuahua?
That joke was like a 6 out of 10.
It's funnier if you could actually tell jokes. Someone will laugh. It's okay. Have you ever seen a corgi run in the snow?
Dude, that's just a great thought.
Because their legs are so stubby.
They're just great. I love corgis so much.
I love corgis too. What do you have a preferred color of corgi?
I like the orange ones.
I like the orange ones too, but the black ones can be cool.
I feel like a black corgi would just, I don't know. I feel like I would feel differently about it. I would feel bad if someone were to get me a corgi as like a present. Like let's say like in the fictional world where people give dogs as presents, I would feel bad if someone gave me a black one because I just don't think I would like it as much.
I think if you like were super punked out and like you had this corgi that was black too, it would just kind of funnily work together.
I think if you were really punked out, you wouldn't have a corgi.
So that has to be a thing. Someone out there who's like super into that scene.
I want to meet that person.
Are there any other certain species of dogs you like?
I like wolves.
Wolves aren't dogs.
Wolves are definitely dogs.
No, like scientifically, they're not.
What do you mean? Are they not canines?
But canine is a family. It's not a particular species.
That's just like saying that lions aren't cats.
No, it's not. Because both dogs and wolves are canines, but a dog isn't a wolf. And they're not. Canine is a kind of broad term. They're both of the Canis family.
So what about cats and lions?
Though that would be feline.
Yeah. So you're saying lions aren't cats?
Lions are not cats. They're literally quote unquote big cats, is the general term for.
So then, therefore, I'm gonna call a wolf a big dog. I like wolves. There we go.
You can make.
You
that
can
argument.
breed wolves with dogs.
You can.
I totally would buy like a wolf husky. I like huskies because they look like wolves. I think wolves are probably currently like my favorite animal.
Aren't they supposed to be really aggressive though, like wolf dog mixes?
They're really smart.
They're smart. Wolves are huge, by the way. Have you ever like seen a wolf in person?
No, I'm not. I don't really go to places where wolves just are there in person.
Well, I mean, in like a zoo, but wolves are like giant, like gray wolves or timber wolves are like huge animals.
I can imagine they would be
like way bigger than dogs, way bigger than my dogs, especially. But I have medium to big size dogs, except for Georgia, who's pretty tiny.
Yeah, but I would like a wolf though. I would like a pet wolf or a pet wolf husky mix.
Wolves are I'm pretty sure they're considered non-domesticatable.
Yeah, but wolf dog breeds are domesticated.
They are.
But it's difficult to train. It's more difficult to train them because they're more smart. They're more intelligent than regular domestic dogs.
That's true, and they're supposed to. I've heard they've been more aggressive, but I can be totally wrong with that.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised at them being more aggressive, like naturally, but I feel like ultimately they're not going to be. They're not feral.
No, well, I don't know. I don't know enough about particular breeding of dogs and wolves. I remember reading in a book once, and it was like in 4th grade, this is a great source that like something happened with a wolf husky mix or whatever. But I think going back to what you said, huskies do look like wolves to a certain extent.
I mean, a little bit, but like if you really look at wolves, people think that huskies look like wolves, but they just kind of don't. Like they kind of do.
There's an uncanny similarity.
Yeah, there's an uncanny similarity, but if you really look at wolves, like huskies are like a whole lot like they're softer looking animals. Wolves really are not cute dogs.
No, they're badass is the best term for them. Whereas huskies can be really cute.
Wolves just aren't cute. They're not cute dogs.
Pretty sure there's a husky corgi mix.
I wonder what a baby wolf would look like.
It looks. I mean, I've seen a baby wolf before. I've seen pictures of one at least.
Is it cute?
Yeah, it's pretty cute. All small, baby foxes, baby coyotes, baby dogs, baby wolves are all very adorable.
I'm looking at baby wolf pictures now. I don't think baby wolves are really cute, but they look like small wolves, and they look like they're gonna grow up and just be killing machines.
Do you find babies cute?
No.
Really?
Not inherently. I feel like to me that question is like, do you find people cute?
I mean, yeah, I think babies can do cute things.
I think babies can be cute. I think there are cute people, but I don't think that all people are inherently cute. I think that there are ugly babies.
That's a profound way to put it.
Like, and that's the thing is people like to think, oh my gosh, look at that human that's not developed and is tiny. It's adorable because it's not developed and it's tiny. And I just don't think that that's true. I'm very much not like a person that's like, oh my gosh, it's so adorable, it's so precious.
I'm not sure people think babies are cute because they're not developed.
No, what I think it is, I'm pretty sure is a biological thing where humans kind of naturally kind of have this nurturing mentality towards small creatures.
Well,
small creatures that are like in their infantile stages in development. That's why people like puppies. That's why people like cats, really.
Yeah, there is scientific evidence, that kind of like if you look at like Disney princesses or like small animals in Disney movies, their eyes are huge, like baby size.
People like things that have softer features like that.
Yeah, I mean it's Disney marketing right there. There is a connection between humans. At least I'm pretty sure it must. Definitely sure for Western culture, but I'm going to make the general assumption that it means for most humans, and that we like things with softer features. Because think about it, in nature, softer things are generally not dangerous.
But cats mind control humans.
I disagree with that statement.
No, it's true. That's not an opinion.
I think they're manipulative, but I wouldn't say they have mind control powers.
The sound that cats make when they cry triggers the same thing in a human brain than the sound of a baby crying.
I mean, so does like a horse crying or a dog crying, I'd say.
The sound that cats make, not cry, I mean the sound that cats make when they just meow.
Meow.
Well, you didn't sound like a cat.
No, it's Chinese Communist leader Mao Zedong if you reincarnated as a cat. Meow.
That was like a 3 out of 10.
I thought that was hilarious.
That was a terrible.
That's not
joke.
even my joke. I stole that from someone.
That was a terrible joke. But no,
I stole it. It's in my defense.
But on top of that, cats. Have you ever heard of toxoplasmosis?
Yeah, it's it's like almost like mad cow disease.
It's a parasite that's in cat feces. That's really found in all cat feces, and most cat owners have been known to have it. Mm-hmm. And what it does is, one of the side effects of it is it makes humans want to take care of cats.
I thought it made you like more prone to mental illness.
I mean, yeah, but one of the side effects, like literally clinically, is that it makes you want to take care of cats. It makes you want to care for cats.
That's a nice evolutionary advantage.
If you look at people who own cats, those people, my dad was talking about somebody that he knew he knows that it has a cat and she's allergic to the cat. So she sometimes will just go out and like walk around so she doesn't have to be in the house with the cat that she chooses to own. The point is that you're making accommodations to fit a creature that's not yourself because you're allergic to the creature.
I would consider buying a Corgi even though I could have a mild allergic reaction to a Corgi.
The point is, it's like stuff like that. It's like if you look at cat owners will put their cat above everything else. Now here's where it starts to get a little bit creepy, is that dogs versus cats, and don't get me wrong, I don't hate cats. I'm not an anti-cat person. I like dogs more than I like cats personally, but that's just in terms of why
I would say the same for me. I don't dislike cats.
I think cats are fascinating, and this is why I think cats are fascinating.
I think cats are cool, but I'm definitely more of a dog person.
If you look at the response that cats have to when you call them versus the response that dogs have when you call them, like the way their ears will turn, and they recognize their names. Science has proven that they recognize their names, but they don't come. They don't look at you the same way that dogs look at you. Dogs will come when they recognize that you're calling them. Dogs are prone to have a companionship and feel a kinship to humans, while cats don't. Cats literally are beyond indifferent to us. You know, sometimes if they want to have love and they want to have love and be loving, then they'll cuddle with you. But if they don't want to, it's not like you can ask them to, and they will out of respect for you. They don't have any type of respect for us. We give them food, and that's all it boils down to. That's the extent of our relationship to them. If you look at the way that cats interact, cats are vicious. Cats are vicious creatures. They're natural hunters. The way that cats kill animals, there's a study that shows that cats kill more animals outside than they will bring back to you. They're just killing just like for the practice of it. What this all boils down to, what I'm trying to get at, is that what if, you know how big cats, as we were saying, lions, tigers.
You were about to say bears, weren't you?
Fuck you, Hayden.
Bears are not a big cat.
Bears are not cats.
Panthers, leopards, jaguars, stuff like that.
Like you see how cheetahs, like you know how cheetahs are fast, and like, you know, bigger cats like lions and tigers are like ferocious. You know, panthers have this kind of stealth thing. What if domestic cats, what gives them kind of their evolutionary edge, is literally enslaving humans? The evidence that we have shows that they don't look at us the way that like dogs look at us, where they feel the kind of kinship. It's more like they look at us as if they look at us like we have a mutual understanding that we give them food and they let us live.
Well, you have to look at behavior, not only how we genetically modified dogs and cats separately, because we evolved cats to be, you know, pest just eaters, and we evolved dogs to hunt with and for other more, you know, purposes.
I don't even think that we evolved cats to do that, because cats do that naturally. We just kind of decided that we're gonna own them, but cats don't look at us as their owners the way that dogs do.
Well, that's because we didn't genetically, you know, introduce them that way. And if you look at the way they are in the wild, dogs hunt in packs just like wolves do, whereas cats are more solitary creatures. Now that's excluding certain species of big cats.
Like if you look in the movies where the old lady dies or whatever, you know, if you look at like the dog's gonna be like, no, my owner's not here, what I'm gonna do is just like that.
Some dogs eat their owners after they die,
but not as typically as cats would. I think you look at the movies where you go look at the old lady and she has just a bunch of cats just walking around at her house. She's dead. She's been dead for like a week, and the cats are just like chilling because they'll find food. They don't need us, and they don't look at us as a necessity the way that other animals that we have domesticated do.
Cats look at us like we look at cats.
Cats think that they're gods. Cats think that we're their pets. They think that we give them food and they let us live.
I don't know, man. This sounds like some anti-cat rhetoric to me.
No, dude, I think cats are fascinating. I'm not anti-cats, and I'm not anti-cat people. But I don't think that they have a mutual. I don't think that cats like us. I feel like people who like cats and people who love their cats, I don't think their cats like them. I think cats tolerate us.
So, would you go as far to say you're almost afraid of cats?
Someone was telling me about how there was a dog that was running at them, and it was from a relative distance, and he was saying that, you know, the dog was running at him crazily, and he was thinking, if it gets to a certain point, I'm going to have to kick this dog, right? No animal abuse type stuff because we don't like that.
Just self-defense.
But like,
Don't
I'm going to
abuse your
have to
animals.
kick this dog, you know? I might just have to kick at it to kind of scare it. If a cat was running at me, that wouldn't be my thought process.
You just punt
My
the
thought
thing.
process, no, because I wouldn't be able to scare it that way. A cat, like dogs are not killing machines the way that cats are. Dogs kill to kind of survive. Cats are the only other species besides humans, not species, but the only other kind of group of species besides humans that kill for sport.
I feel like, well, there's primates, but
you understand what I'm saying, though?
yeah, I do. But I mean, relatively speaking, on average, it's easier to punt a cat than it is to punt a dog.
I know, but a cat wouldn't let me punt it. If a cat was running at me before I even got the chance, it would jump.
No, do not go out trying to punt cats.
No, dude, this is the disclaimer. If you're thinking about this and you're thinking, let's try this out, then you giving us way too much power than we deserve. We're just kids that talk.
We're a pet friendly podcast.
We love us a good pet.
Yeah, we love fish too.
Yeah.
So are you afraid of cats?
I'm not afraid of cats because I don't have a cat. But I feel like if I had a cat, then I would be worried about how much power we're giving it.
Let's talk about fear now.
Let's talk about fear.
Fear is a weapon and probably one of the most basic human instincts. And I guess we could list, just to start off, our most basic fears of what we're afraid of.
Pit bulls.
You're afraid of pit bulls.
I'm afraid of pit bulls.
Why are you afraid of pit bulls?
Because when I was growing up and I was younger in Maryland, pit bulls was like snatching up kids and it was on the news. It was crazy. And that just left a bad taste in my mouth about pit bulls to me. I'm sure the pit bulls are lovely dogs, like individually, but I don't like them.
It's an irrational fear.
Yeah, I think so. But I think that there's some rationality to it.
I mean, same thing with people who are afraid of flying.
People are way, way exponentially more likely to die in a car crash than they are to die flying.
Yeah, I mean, flying's way safer, actually. It's funny. Do you know what I'm afraid of?
The ocean.
I am afraid of the ocean.
Why are you afraid of the ocean, Hayden?
I don't know why I'm afraid of the ocean. I really don't. And I'm like, it's just this image in my head of me just being like surrounded by like endless blue and just I can't see what's underneath me in the water.
Would it make you feel better if the ocean was red or green?
I mean, but back onto fear is more of a concept. Fear is super dangerous, and it's what causes a lot of people to make a lot of really dumb decisions, including myself.
What decisions have you made that were dumb based off of fear?
I have missed out on a lot of opportunities because I was scared of failing. I had this fear of failing or fear of being embarrassed or something like that.
I think fear is a necessity.
It isn't. I mean, it is a necessity. It's a really good driving force of humans, but it also gets us to do a lot of things we shouldn't do. Fear is a lot of what drives, radicalism, and especially far-right radicalism after periods of economic instability, which you can see in the 1930s and currently.
Yeah, but like if we really look at it, what motivates fear of the unknown is the biggest thing, I think.
Of course. I mean, that plays into my fear of the ocean to an extent.
If you look at what people are afraid of things that they don't understand and can't understand.
Would you pet a pit bull?
I've tried.
What does that mean?
It means that I have not successfully pet a pit bull.
I don't go in the ocean. I
tried to, and everyone said that it wasn't trying to kill me, but we all know that it was trying to kill me.
It was not trying to kill you. But the ocean is more often than not perfectly safe to go into. I just don't mess with it.
I don't know, dude. I'm from the islands. Well, I'm not. My dad is.
You don't really have a choice.
I mean, no, I definitely have a choice. I always have a choice. Even if I go to the Caribbean, I still have a choice. I've never gone to the Caribbean, and then my family's just like, all right, we're gonna throw them in the water.
No, but like if you didn't go into the water and everyone else is in the water, you'd be ostracized to some extent, right?
Yeah, but I'm also ostracized because I'm weird.
I'm ostracized because I'm weird too. It's okay.
And colorblind.
Exactly. See,
when we go to art museums, we can't take Hayden with us.
Yeah, you can. Cause I would love to go to an art museum. We should go to the art museum. We should go to the art museum and then talk about it after. We should review the Chicago.
That was at least a 5 out of 10. That was a great joke.
No, it wasn't.
It was a good joke.
We should go to the Art Institute of Chicago and review it on the podcast. I'm gonna review Michael right now.
Go ahead, do it. 3, 2, 1, go.
8 out of 10. Good friend.
8 out of 10? Wow. I always only give myself like a 7.
You're welcome. What is my rating?
Like a 7.
Ouch.
Why is that ouch? Okay, wait, no, time out. I have this rating system, the way that I rate people. Not people, but the way that I rate things. A 1 to a 3 is terrible. A 1 to a 3 is at the point where it's beyond being rated, and we don't acknowledge those things. Those things don't exist.
I rate myself as a 1.
You want to have a conversation about that after we turn the microphones off? You need some help?
No, I'm okay. What's 4 through 6?
4 through 7. No, 4 is no. We don't get into that category yet. Okay, because it's all broken into categories. 4 is also the category of just not good, but it's the category of not good where we can start to accept it as a thing that exists. You know, like 1 through 3, we don't even acknowledge its existence because it's just so god awful. Then 4, I don't like it. It's not good by any means at all. It's trash. It's the lowest kind of trash that I will look at. And I don't have respect for it because it's just trash. Then you get into 5 through 7, and that's the why not category. That's the category that's like, it's okay. 5 is the bottom of it, where it's still not good, but we can find some goods in there. You can find some positives in there. Why not? Okay, sure. 6 is average. 6 is the midpoint. And it kind of makes more sense because the one.
So I'm only above average.
Well, let me continue. 6 is the midpoint. 6 is the midpoint. 6 is just like it's solid. It's solid. 7 is above average, and it's not slightly above average. You're a high 7, but you're just a 7 in terms of like overall. You're just a 7. You're too flawed to be like the higher up levels. A 7 is above average. 8 through 10 is where things start to get crazy. 8 is like good. It's real solid. 8 is like more solid than a lot of people that I know. Actually, I'll put you at an 8.
I'm an 8.
Yeah, I'll put you at an 8.
I feel so special.
You don't go throwing 9s around. You don't go throwing 9s around.
No, what about 10?
You never throw a 10 around.
10's like for your person you're gonna marry.
10 is not just for the person you're going to marry. 10 is like the ultimate best possible thing. Like if you can objectively think of anything better than it, then it's not a 10. Okay. If there's any objective way that anything could be even marginally slightly better, then it's not a 10.
It's a fluid system, isn't it? You can move up and down.
You can move up and down on this system. It's not the way that I rate people. It's kind of the way that I rate everything.
Yeah, I wouldn't suggest rating people and then telling them.
Well, I totally rate people all the time.
That's terrifying to anyone who knows you listening to this.
No, because I'm not telling people what I rate them. I rate people based on all sorts of different things. Based on I don't rate people across the board objectively. Like if I had to rate you objectively, then I'm probably gonna rate you as like objectively. If I'm just not looking at it, then I'm rating you as a 7. If I'm rating you personally as a friend, then I'm probably gonna rate you as an 8.
I don't rate. When I called you an 8 earlier, there was no thought put into it. It was just a high number.
I don't know. I'm not gonna rate myself an 8 in any category. I think I'm a solid 7.
I think Rashad likes to rate things a lot more than I do.
I think it's just the way that I like to make sense of the world. I can think of things that I like more than I like other things, and the way that I kind of process the world is in categories. Every time I listen to a new artist, I rank all their albums.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even rank my favorite artists, albums past 5 consistently. And it's the same with movies or books. I'd rather think of things as a positive whole than as comparing them to each other,
Yeah, ultimately that's how things go, but that's just how I kind of process things. I don't know. It's one of the ways that I process things is comparatively.
Which is good, I guess. I mean, it gets you a better understanding of your preferences, I think.
How do we get onto this topic?
I don't even know. But that's kind of the beauty of life. We're just not. That's good conversation when you don't know how you got there.
It really is.
Are we talking about fear? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, we are talking about fear.
I have another new fear. Fear of being rated lowly. No, I'm kidding.
That would be a terrible fear.
That is a really bad fear. A lot of high school is people fearing social outcasts.
People really are afraid of people not liking them.
Yeah, which, I mean, it's fair. Think about it.
It's a fair feeling. It's a fair thing, and it comes from the fact that humans are social creatures. Yeah, and especially because since we become so dependent on ourselves and not on our environment, we kind of really do need people to like us, which really sucks. It's actually really tragic.
If you think about human tribes in the hunter-gatherer stages, if you weren't liked by your tribe, you were kicked out or you were killed.
If you look at society now, if you're somebody that's not capable of connecting with people and not capable of making any type of social relationships, you're not going to be able to find jobs. You're not going to be able to you're not going to be able to do anything really. Like, so much of life is based on whether or not we subjectively like people.
So that leads me to question, like, what do you do if you have those issues, if you can't, function within society in that way?
I don't know. What would happen if we just entirely just rejected the social structure?
I think you'd get excluded from the social structure. You'd end up like living in the woods, I guess. It's
a really impossible thing to kind of do. You can live transcendent of the social structure. A lot of people do that.
You can live, like, I try and live without,
you can try and live like magnanimous of the social structure.
Yeah, I don't hearken the social structure when I think about who I'm talking to. I more think about, the characteristics of the person. But you can't, like, forgo it incredibly, because the social structure, especially in the United States, is based off of economics, and you can't forgo economics.
But more so, it's like the social structure is really what everything is based off of.
Exactly.
It's such a necessity to the way that we think and process the world that to entirely forego the social structure is a social move.
It's
like,
you'd be a hermit in the woods.
The way that we literally think about everything is entirely like dependent on the social structure that we've been raised in. To reject the social structure entirely would be a reactive move to a social structure, and it wouldn't really necessarily be a rejection of the social structure, because it gives the social structure an incredible amount of power.
And what you were saying about, like, this is a developmental psychology thing, is like the environment you're raised in the social structure really does determine how you think. And going back to the positivity thing, it's all your past experiences lined up. So your past experiences with the social structure, struggling with it, or profiting off of it, does determine a lot about who you are as a person.
So then let's get real deep with it. If everything that we do, everything that we think, and everything that we feel is based off of everything that's happened in our life, external and internal, biologically and situationally, then do we have free will?
I mean, psychology says no.
I agree with psychology. I don't think we have free will. But I don't think it's because of predestination. I'm not really a big religious person. I'm not really a big God determines the way that things are going to be. But I think that everything kind of moves on a certain trend based off of the way that things are.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, because one of the things that kind of hurts when talking about free will is, so, like, think about someone that you love, that you've done something nice for. Can you say, a lot of people struggle with this. Can you say objectively that you did not do, so, like, say, like, you're married, you went out and bought your wife like chocolates or like a teddy bear or something for Valentine's Day. Can you say that you did not make that decision to do that for her?
If you really look at free will, if you really look at that, people who really get into this existential thing about am I in control of myself, when you come to the realization that you don't have control of yourself, or you come to this kind of idea that you don't have control over what you're going to do, then you start to kind of dive into this kind of craziness. You start to not feel any response. You start to feel detached from yourself, and the detachment from your own actions. And so anything that you do, you won't feel responsible for, because you'll feel like it's a circumstance of your action, of your actions, a circumstance of things that are beyond your control. So ultimately, the idea of free will is necessary for humans to kind of, be able to function, but the rejection of it is just dangerous.
I mean, yeah, it's a dark road to go down if you start interpreting everything anyone ever does for you as not free will.
I think that everything happens the way that it's supposed to happen, ultimately. I feel like that's the way that I just like to think about it, is I feel like everything happens the way that it's supposed to happen. And so for me to try and challenge that, for me to try and challenge the way that I'm supposed to interact, doesn't mean that it doesn't do me any good. It doesn't make my life better to try and challenge that.
I agree. I wouldn't go as far to say everything happens for a reason. That's another dangerous road to go down. But everything happens the way it's supposed to happen is something I feel comfortable with saying. But I do think if you think everything happens the way it's supposed to, it lets you like get frustrated with it less, if that makes any sense. And it more again, proactive, not reactive. You're not just like lashing out because blah, 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 the world is cruel or whatever. You're thinking, okay, this is my situation. How can I deal with this productively?
I'm saying that even though I don't truly believe that we are entirely in control of anything that we do, I feel like we can choose to think a certain way. I feel like we can choose based off of a myriad of different circumstances. We can choose to look at things a certain way, but we just got to make the choice to. And some people won't make the choice to because of, what they have in front of them, what they have handed to them. I'm saying right now that you can choose how you want to feel.
Within reason, I'd say if you have, people struggling with severe mental illness, it's a little bit harder. It's a lot harder for them to kind of change that mindset.
No, definitely. I'm not trying to write that off. I'm not saying that you can choose to not have literal mental illnesses. I'm saying that the way that you choose to view the world, and I'd say that, and this definitely is a difficult thing. It's a thing that I struggle with every single day because of how much weight I put into energy, and because of how much weight I put into the way that I want to interact with people. It's a very difficult thing to choose how I'm going to look at things. It's a difficult thing to do, but once you do it, if anything, you'll feel like you're more in control.
That's true. That is very true.
And that's really all that we really need. Okay, the idea of free will isn't necessarily a thing that should discourage people. It's a thing. The idea of control isn't the thing that we need. The idea of a perception of control is what we need.
Yeah, I agree.
That's the most important thing not the most important thing, but one of the most important things to humans being able to function with stability is the perception of control.
I think, especially going back to what I was saying about me needing to move to a new plateau in my life, and this is nothing against my parents or against school or anything, but I need a better perception of control over my life instead of I'm at the point where I'm an adult, but I'm not in control of myself. So there's this like cognitive dissonance where like it's weird. And so I feel like when I'm able to control my own life more, at least perceive that I'm controlling my own life more, I will, continue the progress of evolution, like you said.
I feel like when we have too many variables in our life that we feel like we don't have any control over, it leads to a lot of stress and a lot of self negativity. And when you decide that certain things aren't going to have a bearing on your life, then you will see yourself with more control, and you'll see yourself with more of a proactive view of the way that things will happen.
Yeah, that's a good. I like that. I feel a lot more uplifted than I did earlier this morning.
I'm glad, and I think that's a good place to end it right there. I feel like we've covered a lot of bases.
Yeah, we haven't been as funny this episode, I've realized.
I know, because this episode we've been talking about the real deep shits, the real heart and soul of like the way that. This has been some real hardcore outrospection right here.
This is hardcore outrospection.
Outrospection is like a mixture of introspection, but on other people.
No, it's not a mixture. It's just outrospection is, so introspection is you look inward. Outrospection is you look outward. And I feel like we should define this outrospection, and what we mean, and kind of the big focus of this podcast is we have to look in at ourselves and then look out into the world and see how that kind of reflects it.
We talk about exploration of the human experience, and that's really kind of what we're trying to do with this whole thing. So when people say, "What's your podcast about?" I always say, yes, it can be about anything. The human experience isn't about any little thing. The last episode that we did, Hayden and I had to just kind of be like loose, freeform, and not have any type of serious thoughts or dialogues, because that's just not what in our literal moments in our lives right there, that's just not where we were.
Yeah, and we were very not sure what to do. We were kind of ostracized. We were kind of juxtaposing ourselves against other groups, but it's whatever. I mean,
there's no way that I can conclusively say that we're ever going to be this focused again.
Yeah, no. I mean,
sometimes we're just not, and it just be like that. It's just how it is sometimes.
C'est la vie.
It's life. Thank you for listening.
Don't do drugs.